Hey, I'm so excited to be with you today. Today is my very first morning back after traveling all around Europe. I've been training for the past, I've really been training for the past month, and I've been in Europe. And this morning is my first morning back. I'm back in Brooklyn, and I spent the morning actually trying to regulate my circadian rhythms more quickly by getting outside, exposing myself to sun, and meditating. Now, I was moving while meditating, and here's how I was meditating. Why is meditating good when you're trying to regulate your circadian cycles? Well, simply meditating is going to reduce the cortisol and the influx of cortisol that generally when we are jet lagged is going to be higher. And so my method of meditating for today was walking around Prospect Park in Brooklyn, wearing my ab ribbon and focusing on how my skin was connecting to the ab ribbon as I was walking around the park. And so that's a wonderful form of meditation. You can have interoceptive meditation, you can have exteroceptive meditation. Today I want to talk a little bit about how I implement a breathing routine with I've been using this with many clients for years, and now I've been using it on the Hypoxic Studio for the past couple of years. And it's a very specific style of exhalation, a short inhalation and a lengthened exhalation, and making certain sounds on the exhale so that we can be held accountable with one another. So we're making those sounds together. We're breathing together. We're making sure to stay on an 8-second elongated exhalation by performing those breath stages. And then additionally, we're focusing on the sounds that we're making, and we are striving to turn it into a meditative practice by focusing on the sounds that are being made with our exhalation. Now, this is how we turn this core routine into a meditation. By performing an engaged exhale, a forced exhale that's elongated so that you don't hyperventilate, is also strengthening your lung capacity. It's improving your lung capacity. It's strengthening your respiratory system. It's strengthening that FEV, that forced exhalation, and it's also majorly strengthening the abs. And this is why I've initially even started using this engaged exhale years ago, because I was working with postnatal women who needed extra help getting into their deep core. So let's just practice together. This at first will just be a meditation where I want us to breathe together, and I want us to make these sounds together of the engaged exhale. So you're going to take 2 sniffs of air through your nostrils. 1, 2. And then on the 8-second exhale, you're going to make a sound blow for 2 seconds, hiss for 2 seconds, softly shishing for 2 seconds, and then loudly shishing as loud as you can for 2 seconds. Makes a total of 8 seconds. And I want you to drain every last ounce of air out of your lungs. But I want you to mostly meditate on the sounds that you're making. I'm not going to over cue what's happening in your abdominals, because if you truly work to the bottom of your breath and to the end of your exhalation, you will feel those deep abdominals kick in, okay? But I mostly just want you to focus on the audio. I want you to focus that temporal lobe on focusing on the sound that you're making. So ready? Let's practice the engaged inhale and the engaged exhale together. Those are simply the names, but I don't want you to worry about that right now. You may be new and you may have never performed breathography before. So here we go. 2 sniffs of air through the nose. 1, 2. Blow for 2 seconds. Hiss. Let's take it again. Now that we've practiced the breath, now let's work through a core routine. You're going to perform that breathing. We're going to go 8 cycles in a row, and I'm going to show you how you are going to feel your core more than usual, but I want you to most importantly meditate the entire time that you're doing this. I want you to meditate on the sounds that you're making on the exhale, and this is how you turn your core routine into a meditation. Meditation is so beneficial for all of us, but many of us feel like, okay, how am I gonna make the time for a separate meditation session and a separate breathwork session and a functional movement session, and all of the things, add up to 90 minutes, 2 hours. Who has that? And so I've attempted to put together these routines where we're combining elements of working on that metacognition, right? We're like really focusing on trying to prevent the wandering thoughts from coming in by focusing on choreography of the breath. Choreography of the body. Yes, I do have a dance background, but when I say choreography of movement, I don't necessarily mean dance. I just mean very specific patterns that force you to have to focus hard on those patterns, so that if your mind wanders and other thoughts start to come in, you probably will flub a little, so they become a representation of the calmness of your thoughts and also the attentional control, right? Your focus. So I simply want you to lean back. I don't have my ab ribbon on today because everything is still packed in the suitcase. Luckily, I didn't lose my suitcase this time. But some of you guys know who've been, following me for a while, or if you're friends of mine, that my suitcase got lost in the Munich airport because of a canceled flight, and it took 8 days to get back to me. So I've learned that now when I travel internationally next time for a client, only a carry-on. I'm sure that, I should have known this. I should have known. I just haven't done enough international travel. I've done quite a bit, but anyway, when you fly through Munich, there's a good chance your suitcase is getting lost. In fact, all the crew members who I talked to on the ship, they were like, oh, that's normal. Every single time you fly through Germany, for whatever reason, it takes 7 or 8 days to get your suitcase back. So just plan on that next time. So anyway, anyone who's listening in, just go with the carry-on. So I want you to lean back here. I want you to dig your heels into the ground, slightly pull them back toward you so you really feel your abdominals kicking on. And that's it. I don't want you to actually move in this core exercise, and I don't even want to cue what your core is doing. I want you to meditate on what your breath is doing. This is a meditation. So ready? Same breathography, same choreography of the breath, but just a slight lean back and pressing the hands forward into the thighs as you lean back. Okay, so let's do this. Ready? Inhale. Inhale. Through the nose. Focus on the breath. Close your eyes. Inhale. Inhale. Listen to the sound of your breath. Just be aware of other thoughts entering your mind, and then quickly come back to the breath. Inhale. Inhale. Now reach your hands forward. Inhale. Inhale. Hands behind your head. Inhale. Inhale. 2 more breath cycles. Focus on the sound of your breath. Inhale. Inhale. Were you able to maintain focus the entire time you were in that position? If you weren't able to, it's okay. Meditation is practice, and also crazy heat happening in the abdominals, so I get it. It's quite the challenge, but I've become really passionate about including elements of meditation in conjunction with the workout, whether that's focusing on the sound of the breath, whether that's focusing on the sensation underneath the foot as you go through an exercise. Just being mindful, and also acknowledging that there are 2-3 minute bouts of meditation where you can get the benefit of connecting the body and connecting that interoception and also exteroception. Really, that's your connection to your abdomen, while you are breathing and focusing on the sound of your breath and just creating an awareness, which is strengthening many pathways in the brain. It's strengthening that prefrontal cortex. It's reducing your incidence of cortisol spikes over the course of the day. So if you start with a core routine and focus on that breath, but not only focusing on it, but also being aware of what thoughts are moving in and out of your mind, because that ultimately is the point of meditation, is to just create a higher level of awareness and not be ruled by our ruminations, or maybe not ruminations, maybe just simply thoughts. And it's like you have a moment, you have an opportunity to body build your brain when you feel and when you hear a thought come into your mind, and then you quickly say, oh, I'm going to push that aside for a moment and I'm going to go back to the thing that I was focusing on. There's the opportunity. There's that, that 15th rep in a bicep curl or a leg press. That's just like that killer rep that's upping your strength a bit. Well, the same thing is happening when we're meditating, right? It's not simply, clearing your mind. It's acknowledging what's happening in your mind. What stories are you telling yourself? Some of them are truthful and some of them are just figments of our imagination, and it's just powerful to focus on that. But again, combining it with movement, when we're increasing the blood flow to our brain, maybe we're having even more thoughts and maybe more ruminations than we generally would, because we're increasing that blood flow due to the increases in carbon dioxide, the increases in movement in the body. And so that's an even greater opportunity to meditate and body build the brain into a place of higher calm, of higher compassion for yourself and for others, higher empathy and kindness. So I've come to realize this over many years, and my mind certainly has a long way to go in all of those areas, but just having an awareness that we are able to move forward in those areas, which are areas that I never used to think about. I mean, I first moved to New York, and the only thing I had on my mind was get on Broadway, go to every audition possible, total type A, hard work. And the things that I never worked on were the compassion, the kindness. And I've always had those things towards others, but I wasn't always thinking compassionately or thinking kind and generous thoughts. I was doing the things, but there was definitely a lot of ruminatory processes happening in my brain, if that's a phrase. And I've definitely become more aware of just what's going on in my brain when I'm working out. When I'm taking a walk from my apartment to the subway, having compassion and empathy for another individual as they walk past me, even though they've they've ultimately threatened us because our kids are so loud and we should be just, so angry, but yet there's a reason to have empathy for that person who's been unkind to you, and maybe they need a hug. And sometimes just doing a little bit of meditating can help you have a little more compassion for a person maybe who's suffering. And I've certainly come to realize that over the years, and I do find that I'm able to move forward even more quickly when I combine it with increased blood flow to the brain, which does happen as a consequence of increased movement, and also slowing the breath down to increase that carbon dioxide to the brain. So that was just a lesson on how you can combine your core work with your meditation work. And I will certainly see you again. I'm back in New York. I'm back on East Coast time. So can't wait to see you guys. Bye bye. Oh, bye bye. I'm on YouTube too.